The Other America by Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I use this title because there are literally two Americas.
Every city in our country has this kind of dualism, this schizophrenia, split at so many parts, and so every city ends up being two cities rather than one.
There are literally two Americas. One America is beautiful for situation.
In this America, millions of people have the milk of prosperity and the honey of equality flowing through them.
This America is the habitat of millions of people who have food and material necessities for their bodies, culture, and education for their minds, freedom, and human dignity for their spirits.
In this America, children grow up in the sunlight of opportunity. But there is another America.
This other America has a daily ugliness about it that transforms the buoyancy of hope into the fatigue of despair.
In this other America, men walk the streets in search of jobs that do not exist.
In this other America, millions of people are forced to live in distressing housing conditions.
In this other America, thousands of young people are deprived of the opportunity to get an adequate education. Not because they're dumb, not because they don't have the native intelligence, but because the schools are so inadequate, so overcrowded, so devoid of quality, so segregated, if you will, that the best in these minds can never come out.
Probably the most critical problem in the other America is the economic problem.
There are so many other people in the other America who can never make ends meet because their incomes are far too low if they have incomes and their jobs are so devoid of quality.
And so in this other America, unemployment is a reality. So the vast majority of Negroes find themselves perishing on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity.
This has caused a great deal of bitterness. It has caused ache and anguish.
These conditions are the things that cause individuals to feel that they have no other alternative than to engage in violent rebellions to get attention.
A riot is the language of the unheard.
What is it that America has failed to hear? It has failed to hear that the plight of the Negro poor has worsened.
It has failed to hear that the promise of freedom and justice have not been met.
It has failed to hear that the large segments of white society are more concerned about the tranquility and status quo than about justice and humanity.
We will never solve the problem of racism until there is a recognition of the fact that racism still stands at the center of so much of our nation. And we must see racism for what it is.
It is the notion that one group has all the knowledge, all the insight, all the purity, all the work, and all of the dignity.
And another group is worthless, on a lower level of humanity, inferior.
It is the notion that the very being of a people is inferior. And we've got to see that this still exists in American society.
And until it is removed, there will be people walking the streets of life and living in their humble dwellings, feeling that they are nobody.
Feeling that they have no dignity. And feeling that they are not respected. The first thing that must be on the agenda of our nation is to get rid of racism.